Mauricio Rufy says he's fighting in February, the first week of February in Australia. He's coming off a loss to Benoit Saint-Denis. Wasn't able to stop the takedowns. Wasn't able to stop that grappling of Saint-Denis. Started to get a little bit tired, and you can't do that against Saint-Denis, who ended up winning by submission. Tough loss for Rufy. He was the favorite, but Benoit came out on top. He plans to rebound in February, Rufy does. Some thought maybe he'd fight Quillan Salkeld, but I believe he broke his foot after kicking it on Hak Parasta's head when he knocked him out over the weekend. Something Rufy may take on Tom Nolan. The Australian would like to, of course, get on that Australia card. He's won 4 in a row, coming off a victory over Charlie Campbell in a back-and-forth battle. Campbell had Nolan in a little bit of trouble in the first round, but ultimately Nolan pulled through. Rufy and the Fighting Nerds are on a little bit of a downswing lately, so Carlos Prates in a couple weeks is looking to change that. Taking on Leon Edwards at UFC 322 November 15th in New York City. A former champion, 22-5 against a contender, 22-7, looking to break into the top 5 and potentially become a title challenger. Prates very focused on Leon Edwards for this fight, even has his image as his wallpaper on his phone. Walter Walker did that recently with Usman, but Usman got pulled off that fight due to elevated levels of testosterone, so he wasn't able to rip apart his ligaments. Merab Dvalishvili posted this picture with the caption, "Who's the next to sit at my table?" And he has images of all the guys that he's beaten in the division. Well, the guy on the right, Petr Yan, he is fighting next in December. After that, perhaps Umar Nurmagomedov, but Merab doesn't seem interested in that fight. If not, he might call for someone like Davison Figueiredo like he did last year. Mayweather and Pacquiao in talks to do their rematch at the Sphere in Las Vegas, same venue UFC did UFC Noche last year, the greatest UFC in terms of production in their history. Muhammad Mokaev said the PFL in the past offered him to fight Patchy Mixon also in their Grand Prix on 10 days notice, but he couldn't do it because of visa issues. Mokaev fights November 7th in Bahrain against Burns at Brave 100 for their flyweight title. While Alex Pereira doesn't like Khamzat Chimaev, his coach, friend, and mentor Glover Teixeira does like him as a fighter. He thinks he's a great fighter. He thinks he talks the talk and he walks the walk, but he's a bit of a cock when it comes to going too hard on guys who are not on his level in sparring.
Oh, he's great. He's a great, I like the way he talks, you know, and he back it up, right? He come back and he show, and it's amazing. He's an amazing fighter, you know, and again, talking, one thing that I probably don't like him is sometimes he fights. If I have to say one thing I don't like about Chimaev is like, I see him sometimes he spar the guys. He beat shit out of some people, you know. They're like not even his level sparring, you know. So it's like, but he's an amazing fighter, amazing, good to the microphone too.
Ilia Topuria helping his brother Alexander train for his fight at UFC Qatar November 22nd against Beksat Almahan. Almahan has double the fights that Topuria has. Should be a good fight. 12-2 versus 6-1. Almahan's a dangerous striker. Hurt Umar Nurmagomedov early in their fight and is also coming off a 64-second knockout victory over Brad Katona. Subject of eye pokes is brought up a lot this week with Aspinall versus Gane ending in a no contest due to an eye poke. Rampage Jackson thinks the worst eye poker out of everyone is Jon Jones because he's training it and consciously doing it in his opinion, and he's intentionally doing it as part of his fight strategy.
Jon Jones is the most methodical fighter that ever stepped foot inside the UFC. His mind is totally different from ours. He knows exactly what he's doing when he does it. He knows exactly what he's doing. I know he trains that shit. I know that's his defense mechanism. It is. It's when you're advancing on him and you get
way so that you can't reach me. I don't get this long you can't reach me. You know.
And I can poke you in the eyes. He's doing it on purpose. He's done interviews about it.
And say he did it on purpose?
He says, yeah.
Stop. He ain't said that.
Yeah.
I want you to show me the interview. He said,
I saw a clip the other day. You can tell. You can look. He said, and he said it might be illegal stuff like that, but he said, hey, it works. He does it on purpose. Trust me.
Cormier is saying before the fight that I'll end up poking him in the eyes at some point, and the reason why he says that is because I do poke people in the eyes, and it's very illegal, but I do.
The admission is viewed by some as a sign of arrogance and lack of accountability, reinforcing the idea that Jones doesn't always play by the rules both inside and outside of the cage. Others argue that it reflects a larger problem in MMA where referees rarely enforce fouls consistently. At the end of the day, though, although it's a dirty tactic, it's a smart one by Jones because he knows he can get away with it. One referee who did a pretty good job over the weekend in one fight was Rich Mitchell in the fight between Azat Maxim and Mitch Raposo. Maxim was on his back at one point during the fight, and he used the fence to get off his back and reverse position and get on top. So it was a blatant fence grab that completely reversed the position, and referee Rich Mitchell instantly deducted a point to his credit. With all this talk of eye pokes, fouls, point deductions, and referees not doing enough, probably Saturday they're going to be doing a lot. They're going to maybe take some point deductions, or at the very least, they're going to be on fighters' asses from the first fight Fighters are going to be told not to extend fingers, have a closed fist, do not extend your fingers. They're going to keep repeating that over and over and again. Expect that on Saturday's card, UFC Fight Night, Garcia versus Onama at the UFC Apex. But that's how it typically is. When there's a controversy like this, people for the next week or two, the refs are given instructions to really be on fighters' asses. But then after that, people forget. It's out of the news cycle. People are on to the next topic, on the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing. News becomes old real quick. Controversies become forgotten just as swiftly. Vinicius Oliveira says, once I fought with a broken rib against a Russian, then these guys are fighting for the belt and give up because of a finger in the eye. They don't have the samurai spirit. This, again, falls in line with the narrative that the person who is subjected to the foul is being criticized, Aspinall, whereas the person who did the foul, Gon, is receiving less criticism. Gon hasn't really gotten too much flack for the poke, which led to no contest, but Aspinall has had his heart question, his samurai spirit question in this instance, and his toughness question, so his character comes into question. Some feel maybe that's an unfair criticism for someone who is illegally fouled, but there are fighters who do side with Aspinall. However, there are fighters who don't, so it is a polarizing topic amongst fans and fighters. Also, there is an interesting dynamic where fighters' opinions are subject to a different standard than fans. Fans can call out Aspinall and say, you're a coward, you're a quitter, but if fighters say that, they're subject to more scrutiny because there's just an overall sentiment among fans. Like, it's okay for us to push out a critical narrative against a fighter, calling him a coward or a quitter, but if fighters do that, that's wrong and are subject to more scrutiny for making those same accusations. Vinicius Oliveira's won 6 in a row, 4 in a row in the UFC, 3 decision wins in his last 3 fights over Phillips, Nurmagomedov, and Simone. Last year, he had a flying knee knockout, one of the knockouts of the year in round 3 in his fight with Bernardo Sopai, with 19 seconds left in the contest. Larissa Pacheco, after being released by the PFL, a lot of people want to see her in the UFC. She holds a win over Kayla. She's actually helping Amanda Nunes train for Kayla. However, she feels she will be in the UFC again, and while some call into question if she can make 135, she knows she can. Pacheco says, we fought 3 times, talking about Kayla Harrison. I won the last one. I think she's not too eager to see me again, but now I'm training with Amanda, who's her next opponent. I really believe the UFC is where I should be. That's where women of my size are in my division. People say I can't make the weight, but they're wrong. No confirmed date for the fight between Nunes and Harrison, although it's expected to happen sometime in 2026. Following Harrison's win at 316, they faced off in the cage. Some reports suggest it could be a co-main event for an early 2026 card. It's one of the biggest women's fights in UFC history, but after that, the bantamweight division is kind of dead. Pena, Pennington, Vieira, Dumont, and Santos are the top 5. That's the bout order for Saturday's card, one of the fight cards of all time. Any one of these fights could be the main event, but it will be headlined by Steve Garcia versus David Onama in the featherweight division.
Like a kid is alcohol. Always doing too much. What is this alcohol? Acting like a kid is alcohol.
Let me in. That's what I thought, bitch ass fool. I'll be back, homie. I'll be back all the time. I come wherever I want. I do more than that motherfucker, homie. I don't live to live, homie. Bitch ass parasite. I don't live to live, bitch ass.